Okay, I am again reading in this series. I am reading the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order according to events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a bit. Right now, I am reading in the book of Exodus, having finished the first portion of the world's history through Genesis, and I'm in chapter 4. This chapter also has a few Joseph Smith translations in it. And what the Joseph Smith translation is, it is an inspired correction or translation of the Bible done by Joseph Smith to restore those portions of the Bible that had been lost or altered over the years. So, having said that, let us get into chapter 4. The Lord gives signs to Moses. Aaron chosen as a spokesman. Israel is the Lord's firstborn and must be released to serve him. Circumcision of Moses' son. Moses and Aaron lead Israel in worship. This isn't too long of a chapter, but it is full of a lot of stuff, so we may have to do it in two portions. But let us read. And Moses answered and said, But behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice, for they will say, The Lord hath not appeared unto thee. And the Lord said unto him, What is that in thine hand? And he said, A rod. And he said, Cast it on the ground. And he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moses fled from before it. And the Lord said unto Moses, Put forth thine hand, and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand, and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand. That they may believe that the Lord God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, hath appeared unto thee. So God is giving him, this is the signs that God is giving him. He had a rod in his hand, if you'll recall, in the Joseph Smith translation of Genesis chapter 50, part of the prophecy that Joseph gave. He prophesied of Moses and of Aaron by name. He also prophesied that Moses would be raised as the son of the daughter of Pharaoh, but he also said that he would be given power in a rod. And here we have the fulfillment of this prophecy. Verse 6, And the Lord said furthermore unto him, Put now thine hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. And he said, Put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again as his other flesh, meaning it was restored back to normal. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe thee, neither hearken to the voice of the first sign, that they will believe the voice of the latter sign. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe also these two signs, neither hearken unto thy voice, that thou shalt take of the water of the river, and pour it upon the dry land, and the water which thou takest out of the river shall become blood upon the dry land. So we have three signs that God is giving Moses. First, turning a rod into a snake. Second, causing his own hand to become leprous. When it says put it in his bosom, this isn't just putting it up here and then down. He put it inside his robe, inside his cloak or tunic or whatever he was wearing. He put it inside his clothes, brought it out, leprous, put it back in, brings it out, and is healed. That's the second sign. Third sign is turning some water into blood. Dips water out of the Nile, dumps it onto the dry land as blood. Three signs given so that the Israelites will know that he was sent by God. Oh boy. Oh, excuse me. So now, verse 10. And Moses said unto the Lord, O my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant, but I am slow of speech, and of a slow tongue. And the Lord said unto him, Who hath made man's mouth? Or who maketh the dumb or deaf, or the seeing or the blind? Have not I the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with thy mouth, and teach thee what thou shalt say. And he said, O Lord, O my God, I said, O my Lord, send, I pray thee, by the hand of him whom thou wilt send. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses, and he said, Is not Aaron the Levite thy brother? I know that he can speak well, and also, behold, he cometh forth to meet thee, and when he seeth thee, he will be glad in his heart. And thou shalt speak unto him, and put words in his mouth, and I will be with thy mouth, and with his mouth, and will teach you what ye shall do. And he shall be thy spokesman unto the people, and he shall be to thee instead of a mouth, and thou shalt be to him instead of God. And thou shalt take this rod in thine hand, wherewith thou shalt do signs. Okay, so Moses saying, wait, God, I get you, but I can't talk. I'm not a very good speaker. So what are we going to do here? And God says, don't worry about it. I'm the creator. I can make you speak. But Moses apparently didn't like the idea of public speaking too much. He was a bit self-conscious here. He says, Lord, I know you can, but isn't there another way? So can't you send me somebody who can talk for me? And God got a little upset at him. But he said, fine, look, Aaron's coming. We'll make him the spokesman. Let him talk. But I'm talking to you. You talk to Aaron, and Aaron will talk to the people. Kind of a relay of information. But I love that Moses he really didn't want to be a public speaker. So, but this, I do want to mention this, is that in one of my supplement videos, I talked about how Israel might have become slaves in Egypt, as recorded in the book of Jasher. And one of the things I believe I mentioned, I'll mention it here again, is when Egypt became slaves, they were kind of tricked into it by being hired to do the work. And then all the Egyptians left the work and forced the Israelites to work for free. But in this story, the Levites didn't go to the work, and so they were never fully enslaved like the rest of the Israelites were. If this is true, which I think is likely, but I can't say it definitely is, but if it's true, it makes sense that Aaron was able to leave Egypt and come find Moses because he was a Levite, and the Levites were not as oppressed as the rest of Israel. He was able to get out because of this. So that does make things make a little bit more sense, because the idea of just, Aaron just happens to be coming. How did he get out? If he was a slave, how did he get out? Anyways, let us continue. Verse 18. And Moses went and returned to Jethro his father-in-law, and said unto him, Let me go, I pray thee, and return unto my brethren which are in Egypt, and see whether they be yet alive. And Jethro said to Moses, Go in peace. And the Lord said unto Moses in Midian, Go, return into Egypt, for all the men are dead which sought thy life. And Moses took his wife and his sons, and set them upon an ass. And he returned to the land of Egypt. And Moses took the rod of God in his hand. And the Lord said unto Moses, When thou goest to return into Egypt, see that thou do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in thine hand. But I will harden his heart, that he shall not let the people go. Now, there's a Joseph Smith translation here, where it says here, but I will harden his heart. Joseph Smith corrects this. So he says, do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in thy hand. And I will prosper thee, but Pharaoh will harden his heart, and he will not let the people go. This is an important change, because it's saying God did not cause Pharaoh to harden his heart. God gave Pharaoh the choice. He gave him the chance, and Pharaoh chose to go against God. Because God does not harden people's hearts. God does not cause them to sin. Very important change there. Anyways, verse 22. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, Thus saith the Lord, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. And I say unto thee, Let my son go, that he may serve me. And if thou refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son, even thy firstborn. So here's a prophecy of things to come. Verse 24. And there's a Joseph Smith translation here. So we're going to read 24 through 26, and then we will flip to the Joseph Smith translation. And it came to pass by the way in the inn that the Lord met him and sought to kill him. Then Zipporah took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son and cast it at his feet and said, Surely a bloody husband art thou to me. So he let him go. Then she said, A bloody husband thou art because of the circumcision. So let us look at the Joseph Smith translation. That little portion there's always seemed a little bit odd to me. So here we go. And it came to pass that the Lord appeared unto him as he was in the way by the inn. The Lord was angry with Moses, and his hand was about to fall upon him to kill him, for he had not circumcised his son. Then Zipporah took a sharp stone and circumcised his son, and cast the stone at his feet, and said, Surely thou art a bloody husband unto me. And the Lord spared Moses and let him go, because Zipporah his wife circumcised the child. And she said, Thou art a bloody husband. And Moses was ashamed, and hid his face from the Lord, and said, I have sinned before the Lord. And the Lord said unto Aaron, Go into the wilderness to meet Moses. And he went and met him in the mount of God, and the mount where God appeared unto him, and Aaron kissed him. Okay, that was actually verse 27 there, which we didn't read, but here we go. It's basically the same story, but there's a couple of key differences here. First, according to the King James Bible in Exodus, it appears that she circumcised their son and then threw the foreskin on the ground in front of Moses. We know it was actually the stone. But other than that, and just, Moses was ashamed, and he went and he repented. And it states that, God came to kill him, and Zipporah just stood up and circumcised the child. There's no connection there, so we have a connection. Now God is appearing, saying, Moses, you didn't circumcise your son. I'm going to smack you down now. And Zipporah quickly goes and corrects the problem. But we now see that there was knowledge. They understood what the problem was. But there is also this in the footnotes for bloody husband. Alternate Hebrew translation, bridegroom of blood. And it says then there is some covenant significance in this, but it doesn't explain what that is exactly. But remember, the circumcision was a covenant instituted with Abraham to set the faithful apart from the rest. This was a physical sign that they were of the children of Abraham, or the descendants of the house of Abraham. So, and it was supposed to be that, well, I don't know if it actually states who was supposed to circumcise the child, but all male children were circumcised at the age of 8 years old. And remember, that was to signify the age of accountability. 8 days old, they get circumcised. 8 years old, they get baptized. The 8 and 8, it was a symbolic thing. And we learned that from the Joseph Smith translation. So there is some significance in this, that it was Zipporah that did the circumcision. Exactly what that significance is, I'm not sure, but there it is. Now, we go to verse 27. And the Lord said to Aaron, Go into the wilderness to meet Moses. And he went and met him in the mount of God and kissed him. And Moses told Aaron all the words of the Lord who had sent him, and all the signs which he had commanded him. Now, a quick note there, remember in the Joseph Smith translation, it said he met him in the same mountain that God appeared to him. So this kind of indicates that Aaron was already with them when they went to the inn, or the inn that they were at had to be next to the mountain. Anyways, verse 29. And Moses and Aaron went and gathered together all the elders of the children of Israel. And Aaron spake all the words which the Lord had spoken unto Moses, and did the signs in the sight of the people. And the people believed. And when they heard that the Lord had visited the children of Israel, and that he had looked upon their afflictions, then they bowed their heads and worshipped. So there we go. That is the end of the chapter. We will leave that here. The video is getting a little long, so see you in the next one.